Hey guys, this is my Farthammer build. We're gonna go for the quick and dirty and some quick gameplay, and then I'll see you in 3 minutes for the rest of the guide.
Nothing! Heritage! Kill him, my God! Thou wicked slug into the sea!
Hey, so let's go over the build in more detail. Starting off, the classes are Ritualist and Challenger. We're using Death Wish. This is a very big damage buff. It drains 300% of your health though. How we offset that is we use Kinship. That friendly fire damage applies to this. We're also using Juggernaut. When you don't have dots on yourself, sometimes you can use Juggernaut for the bulwark. Otherwise, we are self-dotting and we have full bulwarks. It's just nice to keep in mind. This is buffing the swing speed and melee damage because we are a melee build. We're also speccing into dots though, and that's where the Ritualist comes in with its prime perks and class supporting perk to really spread the dots around and make it a real threat. Moving on here, the armor, whatever you want, you have challengers, so you have up to 65 for normal roll and 40 for fast. I went fast. For the relic, I always suggest using leech for, especially for dots, but melee too, and we're melee and dot. So yeah, definitely, I would suggest using leech. If you don't have this one, you can use that the base game one too. Profane is the one to go with though. You don't want to be using it though because you clear the dot off of yourself due to the ritualist. While it spreads to other people, we don't want to be doing that. So you want to have the you kind of need this to be honest. The shards you can use. This is preference really. You can use what you would like. I'm using elemental damage and melee speed to make the hammer feel better. We do a ton of elemental damage with our dots, and then I have health because we are face tanking a lot of stuff, and we're always in danger because we're meleeing. The amulet, it's the energized net coil. It's increasing status damage, and then what happens is when you directly apply a dot to somebody, it causes the duration of it to be applied for 20% damage and an explosion. Let me click this so you guys can read it better. And it's on a timer though, so it's not going to like just melt a boss like it is on a timer, but that is per enemy. And it's very powerful with our build, and it doesn't hurt us. That was a concern I had using the fart hammer here and having it blow up in my face. That does not hurt you. Neither does it hurt you when you apply corroded to yourself, because we do apply corroded to ourselves. Anyways, moving on to build on this, we're using Timekeeper's Jewel to increase the duration of the dots. That's going to make it do more damage. We're using Hardcore Metal Band. When you backstep and charge, this thing makes a fart cloud. You have immunity to it for 5 seconds, but after that you can damage yourself and you get corroded. And then yeah, you have 5 stacks of bulwark. Due to Timekeeper's Jewel and our Ritualist, that is a 2-minute buff. Or not, it's not a buff, it's a debuff obviously, but it's 2 minutes. Moving on here, since we are suffering from a status effect, and we're melee and a dot build, I opted for the Alchemy Stone. This Alchemy Stone and Brawler's Pride are where you can start to make your own decisions. You do not have to use these. Some things you can consider are making the charge attacks cost less stamina, like that Berserker Seal, or you can use the Hanais. I don't know how to say it. It's right here. You can use this guy if you want for the extra damage. It's really dealer's choice. You can mix it up here. You can also swap out this energized neck coil. I don't think I'd suggest it. It really enables this build to do crazy things, but if you don't want it, you could use the... I can never remember this thing's name. You can use like any of the self-damage necklaces. The Nightweaver one you just saw there. Why God, here it is. Indignant Fetish for the 20% hull damage, 10% DR. 15 crit chance, haste. You can use the one that gives you haste as well. God help me, I can't remember the name of it. Here it is, Installation Drive, like when you have Bulwark active, 15% all damage and haste. These are options. You don't have to copy it exactly, there's room to play around. Anywho, moving on here. For the weapon, I'm going with the Sparkfire, but again, you can change this up. I prefer this though, because it puts a burning status effect on them. And then I use Heat Wave, because it just synergizes very well with both our build and melee and ritual, like everything. It's a good choice. And then I use Twisting Wounds. Twisting Wounds. The reason is if you don't have it, it's proccing off of the burn on this thing, and that's a lot less than Twisting Wounds. Has a much higher, like the numbers are very small here, they are much higher in game when you have all the buffs. And then yeah, that's kind of why I'm doing that. And since it's a shotgun, the spread is it makes it very easy for you to get their head or get a crit and proc this, and then that makes the energized coil. They just blow up at range. This makes this thing like a sniper rifle. Moving on to the melee weapon. Obviously, this is a gas giant build, so we're using the fart hammer here. How this guy works is after about 2 hits, it gets infused, and then the damage it does instead of physical becomes corroded, and then that will then proc whatever, energized coil. I don't like this one procking it, but it is what it is. And then what you can do is backstep and then charge attack, and then it slams the ground and lets out a big fart, and that applies poison damage to everyone, including you, after 5 seconds. And then that's how we give ourselves a dot. You don't have to hit somebody with that. You have to hit someone to build up the fusion, but you don't have to hit someone to activate it. So that makes it very, very good, honestly, as a replacement to the Atonement Band. And I like it. It's quite fun. I like to use Tainted Blade on this for the increased melee damage per corroded stack, up to 5. And then it makes a charge R2 do additional corroded. So I got the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 corroded stacks. So like boom, 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 to get it to the maximum amount of damage. But it's good. I don't know the exact DPS for this weapon. If I had to ballpark it, I'd say it's probably around 1500, and then the dots are probably around 2200. It's probably wrong, but I don't have an easy way to do that. It's incredibly difficult to figure it out. I'm sorry, guys, but it's probably around 3 to 4k DPS. Not including it jumping around to everyone else, which it loves to do. It loves to do lots of damage to everybody. Moving on here, we are using Nebula. This is good, but the thing is with with Nebula and Energized Coil, this thing just like on first contact does like 1500 to 2k damage, somewhere in that ballpark, because it does a ton of corrosive damage over 15 seconds. Same with the Nanoswarm. It's not as much, but the the spraying somebody with that is nutty. You can actually use something else though too. You have a lot of options here. You don't have to actually just going back here. The Tainted Blade. Another thing I liked, but I couldn't quite tell, because it seemed to be hampering the coil a bit, but I was using Shocker on this thing, and it was very fun. You would charge attack somebody and electrocute everything, and the giant fart would come out, and the Xbox would freak out from the frame rate because there's like a lot of stuff would happen, and it was really fun. But it seemed to be screwing around with the energized net coil a bit, but like it was also being offset because Shocker was just electrocuting everything. I'm not sure which one's better, but I ultimately went with the Tainted Blade. Another thing I did try was I was using the Blood Jewel too on the R2 to give it a very big dot, because this thing kind of got wimpy. It procs Energized Coil kind of wimpily. That's another choice too. You could use that fat bleed on it. It seems to pick whatever the highest bleed you have is, or whatever the highest dot you have is, to calculate the damage. I'm not 100% sure, but every time I tested it, that seems to have been what was happening. Anyways, I got super sidetracked there. Yeah, another weapon I liked quite a lot was the Hellfire, actually. It, especially with the whatever it is, kinship, because that grenade will eliminate you if it hits you. It does a ton of damage on our build, obviously. That grenade just cranks people. It also, the stream of fire also does a ton of damage. And the cool thing about it is, if you don't have a dot on yourself with Hellfire, you can actually spray the ground, and most of the time any other person's like, I'm on fire, I hate this. But with us, it's like, oh, I burnt myself. Like, oh, this is proccing my metal band. So if you're in a situation where you don't have your procs, It is way easier to keep it up with Hellfire. I did feel though that Hellfire was problematic for my life leech. I felt the sustain wasn't very consistent, but my God, guys, when I shot the grenade at groups of people, that's like Jesus. Like the grenade, like oh my God, I don't know. Try it out and see which one you like more. They're both good, but ultimately I went with the Nebula, using feedback here to keep it coming back. And then yeah, that's what I ultimately fell on here. Moving on to the traits, I found this there was less freedom with traits, honestly. Like on most builds, I'm just kind of like I can do what I want here, but here it's like, bro, I don't think I can do what I want here. It's not quite. Anyways, moving on here. I went with Spirit because we don't loop perfectly, by the way, but I do rely on using Nano and Heatwave, so Expertise because I like having Death Wish and Juggernaut. We're kind of squishy. Well, I am because I'm fast rolling and we're meleeing, so that's kind of sketch. And I went Fortify and Barkskin and Vigor. If you're going for a higher roll or a slower roll, I'm sorry, maybe get rid of Barkskin, or whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not comfortable meleeing with less than 60% to be honest. But anyways, that's everyone's different. Kinship is required for this to not murder you. Like the damage it does without kinship is too much. There used to be a glitch where it didn't apply. It seems to be working properly now. Amplitude is great for this build. I don't know if I would get rid of that. I'm using Chakra. Again, we have very long-lasting mods, and they do tend to come back, but I like them, especially Heatwave. Heatwave just lasts forever. It's crazy. And then we're a Life Leech build. We don't have very many points, but out of the two, since I went Alchemy Stone, I have opted for Leech. If you don't have an Alchemy Stone, you may want to consider Siphoner instead. The main thing we're missing here that's very painful is we're moving very slowly. We don't have swiftness, and God, guys, I wish I had swiftness, but I don't. It is what it is. You do a lot of damage with your guns, so I got over it. But if there was something you could do, maybe like pull a couple like 1 point out of things, maybe not kinship, but like 1 point out of like whatever, and then put points into swiftness. I also use Mudtooth, but I think maybe using Darksider too would definitely help for that 6% move speed. Also, we kind of use stamina a lot with the Gas Giant, and Darksider helps with the stamina too. It's not a lot of life though. Like 6.66 life is kind of not much. So I'm using Mudtooth here, but yeah, I would maybe consider that, to be honest, the Darksider, because it kind of helps. Okay. By the way, this is the Remnant 2 toolkit website to help make builds. It's great. I love it. Let's move over to this one that this Vash guy made. I don't know why it says that every time. And we can look at the DR. This is a DR when we've procced everything. 61%. We're fast rolling. I'm sure if you mess with the drip, it'll be even higher. I'm just using what I thought looked neat. EHP. We're kind of. It's like, yeah, you make this work, but it's kind of like it's also a little bit squishier for melee, but you know you can make it work. And yeah, the lifesteal, I think it's like 13.5. I don't know where it is. I gotta find it. No, it's gigantic. I don't know how it's at 28.5. I think it's considering that I don't know why it's that high. That's not right. It's thinking that I've used this thing, and I don't know how the hell to disable that. It's not that high though. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, ultimately, it's a very fun build. It's very good at clearing maps. It can do bosses okay, but I would say mostly use it for maps and taking out aberrations. It does that well. Some bosses it can do, well, as soon as they fly away from you, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Some bosses you just can't even hit as melee, but ultimately it's a more for fun build. That's why you play melee, because you want to have fun. And yeah, it is definitely that. So give it a shot. Maybe you'll have fun with it. And if anything, maybe you learn something new with the gas giant and self-doubting yourself, because I can imagine that's going to be applied in many different places. And if you've never tried this amulet before, give that a shot too, because it definitely enables a lot of builds as well. Anywho, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.